Imagine a tiny island nation, known more for its beaches and scuba diving than for power struggles, suddenly standing up to one of the biggest countries in the world. Now picture its president declaring, "We are at war with China." Sounds like the start of a movie, right? But this is real. It's happening in the Pacific, and the small nation of Palau has had enough. Palau is a collection of about 340 islands floating in the Western Pacific. It's not big, its entire area is smaller than many American cities. Most people know Palau for its coral reefs and tourism, not for military bases or international politics. But what makes this little country so important is its location. Palau sits right in the middle of what military experts call the island chain strategy, a defense plan the US has used since World War II. These island chains are like invisible fences across the Pacific, stopping powerful rivals from pushing too far. Palau sits in the second island chain, right alongside Guam, one of the most important US military hubs in the world. To America, Palau is more than just a tourist paradise. It's a shield. And China knows it. For years, Beijing has been trying to pull Palau into its orbit. How? Not with tanks or planes, but with something sneakier: money, tourism, and crime. China has dangled billions in front of Palau, pressuring it to cut ties with Taiwan and align with Beijing instead. When Palau refused, China cut off its tourists, an economic weapon for a country that relies heavily on tourism. But Beijing didn't stop there. Reports claim Chinese investors have been buying up land in Palau, sometimes with 99-year leases, not to use it but to hold it, possibly for future military purposes. And then came the darker side. Palau's president Surangal Whips Jr. accused China of smuggling drugs into his nation to destabilize society. He even compared it to what China did in the infamous Golden Triangle of Southeast Asia, where drugs, human trafficking, and organized crime have been used to control whole regions. To Palau, this wasn't just business. This was war. The bold declaration, "We are at war with China." In 2024, at a US-hosted military law conference, President Whips Jr. made a shocking statement. Palau is already in a state of war with China. He didn't mean tanks were rolling down Palau's beaches. What he meant was that China's tactics, economic bullying, crime, and coercion, were acts of war against his people. He said the best way to fight back was not to fight alone, but to build alliances with other like-minded nations. That's when the world really started paying attention. So why is China so desperate to control this small island nation? The answer lies in geography and strategy. The first island chain includes Taiwan, Japan, and the Philippines. This is the front line. Defense where the US keeps a heavy military presence. The second island chain, where Palau sits, acts as a backup wall. Lose Palau, and the US loses a vital position to launch forces into the Pacific. The third island chain stretches all the way back to Hawaii and Australia. It's the deep defense line. Think of these island chains like three walls of a fortress. If China can break through the first two walls, the US would be exposed. Palau is the weak spot China wants to exploit. Instead of charging head-on, China has been using what's called grey zone warfare, methods that sit between peace and war. For example, in 2018, China rerouted a civilian flight path near Taiwan. On the surface, it looked harmless, but in reality, it let Chinese military planes blend in with commercial air traffic, making it harder to detect an attack. In 2024, Taiwan reported a sudden surge of Chinese ships and aircraft near its coast, up to 90 vessels at one point. This wasn't a full invasion, but it was a clear test of how far Beijing could push. Experts warned that similar tactics could be used against Palau. Adding to the danger, criminal groups linked to China have been buying up land and building shady businesses in Palau. One company, the Prince Group, was accused of money laundering, online gambling, and fraud. Palau's leaders worry these groups are working hand in hand with Beijing to undermine the government and society from within. President Whips Jr. is furious. He says Palau will never sell out its people's safety for China's money. Sometimes we need to look beyond money, he said. We have to look at what's good for the safety and security of our people, long term. Palau has been a US ally since it gained independence in 1994 under the Compact of Free Association. This agreement gives Palau US defense protection and financial aid. In return, the US gets access to Palau's territory for strategic purposes. Whips Jr. has reminded Washington that Palau even gave land for US missile systems and radar to monitor Asia. He's now begging Congress to speed up aid, warning that if America drags its feet, China will fill the gap with attractive offers that could tear Palau away from its allies. Other countries are waking up to the threat too. Australia sees Palau's situation as a warning. Experts there say China is using the same tactics across the Pacific, weaponizing tourism, sending in crime networks, and buying up land near US bases. Taiwan, meanwhile, has stood by Palau, offering help with healthcare, fisheries, education, and tourism. Unlike China's offers, Taiwan's aid comes without strings attached, and now the US is responding as well. On September 16, 2025, former President Donald Trump gave a speech in the UK, vowing to build stronger alliances against China. He even hinted at reclaiming the abandoned Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan, once a hub for US military power near China's western border. While China pushes outward, it faces a massive problem at home. Its population is shrinking and aging fast. In 1990, 1 out of every 3 people in China was under 18. By 2030, that number will fall to only 1 out of 5. Meanwhile, the number of elderly is exploding, creating what experts call a reverse pyramid society. This means fewer young people for China's military. Worse, many urban youth don't even want to join. Reports also show rising obesity and asthma among kids, making the problem worse. Rand Corporation, a major US think tank, warns that China may have modern weapons, but without enough healthy recruits, its military might never reach the level it dreams of. The battle for Palau isn't just about one small country. It's about who controls the Pacific and, in many ways, the future of global power. Palau's stand against China shows that even the smallest nations can play a big role in the world's most dangerous power struggles. President Whips Jr. may lead a tiny island nation, but his words carry a warning for everyone. When a giant tries to bully the little guy, sometimes the little guy fights back harder than anyone expects. So here we are, a tropical paradise caught in the middle of a new Cold War. Palau has drawn a line in the sand, declaring war on one of the world's most powerful countries. The question is, will its allies step up to keep that line from being washed away by Beijing's rising tide? One thing is clear, this small Pacific nation has had enough, and the world is watching.